Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Russia declares independence from the US dollar again. Let's explore. This is an article that was shared with me by Miles from a video from Arcadia Economics that talks about Putin has announced total independence from the Rothschilds-controlled U.S. dollar. And, this reminds me of something that I heard quite some time ago, and likely have done a video about it. And even on that channel, on his video, he mentioned what had happened 2 years prior. But this is quite interesting. This article also talks about it here as to what happened, this announcement after him winning re-election. In a statement about the news, Mr. Putin said his country is finally free from the icy grip of the Rothschilds banking cartel and the New World Order cabal. 2 years previous, President Putin prohibited Jacob Rothschild and his New World Order banking cabal from operating in Russian territory under any circumstances. Now, following his current election success, Putin has vowed to continue unburdening Russia's economy from the dangerous monopoly of the US dollar in order to guarantee Russian sovereignty in an increasingly globalized world. And for those of us who do believe in national sovereignty, this does seem like good news. But this is something that has occurred. Well, this reminds us of a headline from May of 2018 from the News Punch. Putin declares total independence from the U.S. dollar. And this is something that they've vowed to continue unburdening Russia's economy from the dangerous monopoly of the U.S. dollar in order to ensure Russian sovereignty in an increasingly globalized world. So it almost seems like that this story is just a rehash of the prior story from 2 years earlier to kind of capture headlines again. As to what's going on there, this kind of goes back to this statement that Putin had made. I watched this video about his reaction here and talking about having this independence. Well, what happened earlier? Well, later, over a year after that, Putin has made an actual effort here to do that, dump the dollar in treasuries and the like. In October 15, 2019, in this story on the Moscow Times, sourced originally from Bloomberg, Putin's dollar dump cost Russia $8 billion. And the first year of President Vladimir's Putin's experiment in diversifying away from the U.S. dollar has cost Russia about $7.7 billion in potential returns. Russia's central bank added exposure to underperforming currencies such as the euro and yuan, just as it missed out on a 6.5% rally in the greenback. So now, what's the latest news on that? Well, this article here that's dated just a couple days ago, that again was showed on Arcadia, is it doesn't look like there's anything new here that was there in 2018. So I don't know. There's nothing there that talks about his plan. It says early in his presidency, Putin made a priority of unifying Russia socially, spiritually, and financially. He ordered the rest of the Rothschild banking oligarch Mikhail Gorbachev, who had actually made Rothschild, Henry Kissinger, and Arthur Hartman directors of the Open Russia Foundation. But there's nothing really new or different here in this article. So it makes you wonder. Of course, when people read this stuff, and they may have forgotten about the headline from 2 years ago and kind of recycled information, what do they make of it? Well, they think that potentially this is going to affect precious metal prices. And I think in some ways, maybe it will if it does continue. But what is Putin's actual plan? I don't know. This story doesn't seem to give us any insight as to what's going on other than what we had already learned some time ago. So be careful when you say headlines like this, as to, do some due diligence. Arcadia had mentioned there, you can Google search this, and I just put in Putin and the dollar in the Google search and didn't find this article until I actually searched for this actual title, to where this article was pulled up. But I've not heard of Monda stuff or even this article, this news source, News Punch, either. These are alternative media sources. Not that there's anything wrong with that, as Seinfeld would say, but nonetheless, it's always good to do your due diligence when looking at topics or headlines that seem to capture the minds and the emotions of people, especially with what we're looking at with precious metals these days. Obviously, I do believe that Putin would like to get away from the dollar, and there is a dollar monopoly, and that's why the cash is king. That's why the dollar is so valued around the world, because it is the top dog in the bunch. In a world of nations that are doing quantitative easing, the U.S. is as well, but it's still the top dog. And apparently, Russia got hurt by it, to the tune of $8 billion over a year. Who knows what it's been since then or how that's going to play itself out. But nonetheless, I think precious metal prices are going to really be moving independent of these headlines here. And obviously in 2018, it didn't have that much effect on gold and silver prices, although it potentially could have, because maybe that independence failed. Maybe he lost that independence. I don't know. There's certainly some secrets there, and Russia as well, and what Putin's doing. But I know he would like to, and maybe he's declared it again, and who knows? We shall see what happens here. But obviously, there is something to be said for looking at alternative ways to hold value. And that's why gold and silver, in the end, is the best way, I believe, to free yourself from the independence, free yourself and be independent from the financial system in general, and to some extent, the U.S. dollar in particular. And so nothing wrong with that for sure. So there you have it. Fascinating indeed. Thanks again to Miles for sharing this information with me. Definitely fascinating story indeed. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.